If you want to know the absolute best spot for leveling your materia as quickly and as efficiently as possible, then this is the video for you. Because over the last few days I've spent way more hours than I care to admit comparing the most popular AP farming spots in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is the ultimate AP showdown. The spots we'll be covering are the Southern Gongaga Loop, the Fiend Intel 2 Seahorses in Corel, the Devil May Care fight in the Musclehead Colosseum, and the bees in Nibel. One thing to note about AP farming is that difficulty does not matter. You receive the same amount of AP on easy as you do on normal, dynamic and hard. Also, you receive a permanent 300% AP bonus once you've completed the main story, so it's usually advisable to do that first if you want the most AP for the least time spent. Let's start with the Southern Gongaga Loop, which is probably the most popular spot of them all. There are a few variations to this farm, one with 4 sets of mobs, one with 7 and one with 8. They all revolve around the cliffside storehouse at the bottom of Gongaga. The 4 encounter version can be done with or without a chocobo, as the packs are all close together. It can also be done with weapon abilities on shortcuts like triple slash, or with magic also on shortcuts. Just remember to toggle the magnified version of your magic spell in the combat settings by pressing L1. For magic, I use Petrify mainly because its range is so massive it very rarely misses any mobs. I have it paired with Magnify, with another Petrify paired with Swiftcast, and the final Petrify, which is the Petrify Poison materia, paired with MP Absorb. For the uninitiated, this means that when I cast Quake level 3 on Cloud, it will benefit from all 3 paired materia, and thanks to the MP Absorb materia, a percentage of that damage is returned as MP, which essentially makes it either free to cast, or at the very least, much cheaper. The 4 encounter variation of this grind revolves around these 4 sets of mobs. Primal Liquid released a video early on demonstrating its effectiveness, which is why it's so popular. In terms of efficiency, there's very little difference between using magic and using weapon abilities for this farm. On average, using magic, you'll get 64.46 AP per minute, which includes the time it takes to reset using the save and load technique. Using weapon abilities, you'll average 63.23 AP per minute, again using the save and load technique, which is slightly faster than teleporting to a different region and back in order to respawn the mobs. The game should be set to easy when using weapon abilities, since it reduces the mob's health, but needs to be set to normal if using magic, otherwise you'll run into MP issues due to the lack of damage not returning enough MP via MP Absorb. The 7 and 8 encounter version of the Gongaga Loop involves travelling a bit further north where there are a few different packs of mobs. This extended version of the grind benefits from the use of a chocobo since the mobs are more spread out. Summoning the chocobo only adds a few seconds per run since it only needs to be summoned once. After that, it'll return to you at the end of each fight. Using Petrify again as the offensive materia of choice, you'll average at about 58.85 AP per minute for the 7 encounter version and 59.42 AP per minute for the 8 encounter version. The 8th pack is comparatively far away, but it contains 3 Grand Horns that give a combined 27 AP, which does make the extra journey worth it as long as you don't keep running into trees. Using the triple slash method, you can expect around 62.30 AP per minute for the 7 encounter version and 62.11 for the 8 encounter version. So what does this tell us? Well, for a start, it tells us that no matter the variation, there is very little difference between using magic and using weapon abilities, but it also shows that the 4 encounter version is the best of the 3 by a tiny margin. Also, as the game is set to easy, it means it should be accessible to everyone and is very simple to follow. One other thing to mention about Gongaga is that because it's in the open world, all of your characters will gain AP at the same time and at the same rate. It's not just the active party members, so make sure that you fill all of your character slots with whichever materia you wish to level. There are other things that you can do to further boost this, which we'll come back to later. Next up, we have the Fiend Intel 2 Seahorses in Corel. This farm is incredibly fast and incredibly easy, and is also in the open world, so all characters benefit from it. The mobs die in about 7 to 8 seconds and provide a total of 24 AP, which makes it look like an obvious contender for the top grind spot. However, it takes about 20 seconds to reset due to the delay in holding the triangle button and reloading the mobs. It's for this reason that the average AP per minute comes out at just 52.24, which is quite low compared to Gongaga. Some still may prefer it though because it's so simple with no running around at all. You just set Barret as the party leader, equip him with elemental materia paired with fire and ice in the weapon slot, along with a first strike materia, and just wreck all the Seahorses with a single use of maximum fury via a shortcut. Since the reset time is fixed at 20 seconds, and I don't really think you can improve much on a 7-second clear, I didn't think it was worth testing any other variations of this particular spot. Next up is the Devil May Care Desperados fight in the Musclehead Colosseum, and straight off the bat we have a bit of an issue, and that's because this is only a 2-party member fight, and these fights, along with all of the combat simulator fights, don't provide AP to the rest of your characters. So having only 2 out of 7 characters gaining AP isn't ideal, but it may still prove worthwhile if you're trying to max out just a few priority materia such as Swift Cast, Magic Focus and Elemental, as they have very large AP requirements to fully level. I did a bunch of testing on this one and found 2 decent setups. The first is to only beat the first round, which consists of 8 thugs at 6 AP each for a total of 48 AP. Again, there isn't much difference between using magic or triple slash, so just choose whichever you prefer. Then, when the second round starts, you abandon the battle and reset. This method will gain you approximately 60.75 AP per minute, including the resets. The other way of doing this though is to have a character set up for maximum quake damage with Petrify linked with Magnify, Magic Focus and Swift Cast. Then have 2 shortcuts set for Quake level 3, one magnified and the other not. You can then clear each round more or less instantaneously using magnified Quake level 3 for the first round and the single target version in the second. This will net you an extra 9 AP for a total of 57, which then brings the average up to 66.28 AP per minute, which actually puts this method as the top farm spot so far, at least in terms of raw numbers. Incidentally, you can use other materia other than Petrify, but again, because of its massive range, it doesn't miss any of the targets, whereas that did occasionally happen when I tested this with fire and ice. So this brings us to our final location, which are the bees in Nibel. These bees are part of a side quest called My White-Haired Angel. It's the quest where you have to find and then escort Tifa's invincible cat Fluffy back home. As part of this quest, you'll encounter swarms of bees, with the last one containing the queen bee. What makes this quest so good is the fact that the queen bee will keep spawning packs of 4 guard bees over and over until she dies, with each set of guard bees being worth 48 AP. Now, because this is a side quest, you may have already completed it, meaning that you'll need to reset your side quest data in order to do it again. Resetting doesn't affect your progress on things like Johnny's collectibles, it's only the green side quests. And if you're going for a hard mode replay, it is worth redoing them for the additional points to max out your character's folios. The bees in Nibel are also by far the fastest way to level to 70 if you're not quite there yet. You can go from level 50 to 70 once you've completed the story in about 5 minutes. Now, let's cut to the chase on this one because it is pretty epic. With the right gear and materia set up and on the right difficulty, you can expect an average of 125.25 AP per minute. But if you're really careful with the queen, you can go upwards of 140 AP per minute. Even using the average figure, that's over twice as good as the next closest, which was the Musclehead Colosseum. Plus, don't forget, this is in the open world, so every single character will gain that AP, not just the active party. So let's dig into the details a bit because this one did take some tweaking in order to optimize to that level. In terms of reset time, this method is the longest because you have to reset your quest data in chapter select, skip the initial FMV sequence, and then travel back to Nibel to pick up the quest again. As soon as you have it, you can fast travel straight to where Fluffy is on the map, but even then, you're looking at about 1 minute and 40 seconds in total reset time. So to make this as worthwhile as possible, you want to keep the Queen Bee alive as long as possible. However, you also have to balance that against being able to kill the guard bees quickly without inflicting accidental splash damage on the queen, and without having to worry too much about healing your party. With regards to chapter and difficulty selection, chapter 13 will give you the fastest reset time as you can skip the initial FMV really quickly and teleport straight to Nibel. However, chapter 13 doesn't give you access to Kate Sith, so if you want AP across everyone, including him, you'll need to load chapter 12, which means having to navigate around that bit of the Meridian Ocean to get to Costa del Sol. Doing that will add about 1.5 minutes to the reset, so I'll leave that up to you. In terms of difficulties, there are a few considerations. Easy makes killing the guard bees very fast due to their low HP, and you won't take much in the form of damage. However, the queen will also have low HP, which means you have to be really careful with how you play. Normal and hard both increase the HP of the queen, but will also increase the HP of the guards and their damage output. At one point I thought I'd hit the sweet spot with dynamic difficulty, at least at level 70, because the HP of the queen was actually higher than the hard mode version, but she also output less damage. My longest attempt was almost 25 minutes, which rewarded me with 2500 AP for my efforts. However, when you do the math, that only works out at about 100 AP per minute. So how do you get the best value for your time, resulting in the highest AP? Well, the first thing you need to do is select easy difficulty. Then you want to set up your party as follows. Have Cloud equip a strong physical damage weapon like the Igneous Saber, an armor piece with 8 slots like the Cetron Bracers, and make sure you equip him with the Reclaimant Choker. This accessory heals Cloud for 10% of his total HP each time an enemy is defeated, and is central to making this method as simple as possible. Equip elemental materia paired with fire or fire and ice in the weapon slot, along with HP up, strength up, luck up ×2, first strike, ATB stagger, and warding. Yes, warding, the only time anyone has ever used this materia ever, paired with poison. As for your other 2 party members, choose whoever you want. It makes no difference at all, since we're going to equip both of them with enfeeblement rings, which will turn them into frogs for the duration of the battle. This is super important because it stops a huge amount of unintended damage on the queen bee. In terms of materia, have both characters equipped with warding, again, yes, and poison. HP up, and just for the sakes of it, steadfast block and precision defense focus. I'm not sure if AI controlled party frogs can actually block, but if they can, then why not? The reason we want warding paired with poison on everyone is because the queen will use a poison ability, which can be a problem if you're not protected against it. Once you're set up, fill all of your other characters with the materia that you want to level. And don't forget to equip one character with the Chocobo armband, which will give you triple AP. And if you pair an AP up materia with the materia you want to turbo level, you will get 6 times the AP when it's paired in that particular armor piece. Now, in terms of strategy, things couldn't be any simpler. All you're going to do is press and hold square for Cloud's basic AoE attack. Once the animation is finished, do it again, and again, and again. It sort of pulls the enemies towards you, which makes clearing and controlling the packs considerably easier. When it comes to the Queen Bee stage, be as careful as you can not to hit her, which is why you don't want to be using abilities like Triple Slash or the Plasma Discharge enemy skill. The bees will always spawn above the wrecked vehicle, so try and position yourself in between the queen and that vehicle. That way you can turn to kill the guards knowing that the queen isn't on top of you. There will be times where she will though, so just stop attacking for a few seconds and move. The guard bees will chase you. Any damage that you take should be easily dealt with by your reclaimant choker, and your other party members will take very little damage because of their warding against poison. I've made the spreadsheet I use to track all this data available in the description below, so please feel free to have a look at it. If anyone has any other grind spots that they think might be just as good or even better, please let me know in the comments section and I'll check it out and add it to the spreadsheet if it's worthwhile with a pinned comment at the top of the video. I realise grinding isn't for everyone, but it does have its place in the game, especially when you unlock Swiftcast and the third elemental materia in the combat simulator, and let's not forget, of course, those 18,000 AP level 5 magic focus materia. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to anyone that has liked, commented, or subscribed.
Nothing to it.